can stop me inside this octagon, and only politics can slow me. I don't have much left to say other than you have seen nothing yet.
It's time!
You're listening to the Cage Nation TV Prize Fight Podcast. Coming to you from the Coastal Cameron Studios in Willington, North Carolina.
Are you ready?
Here's your host, the big fella, Albert Cameron.
Let's get it on!
Thank you for joining us this week on the Prizefight Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, the big fella, Mr. Albert Cameron, and it is my sincere joy and honor to be here with you guys today. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Prizefight Podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about some really fun things happening to the southeastern United States in terms of combat sports. We have a really big spring coming up, a lot of big fights, a lot of promotions coming to the table, and it's not even the summer yet, and that's awesome. What I do week in, week out, the articles I write, the blogs I post, the podcasts I produce, the videos I produce is all aiming towards one goal: to get as much mainstream public attention to the sport that I love as much as possible. Before we get into all that, though, I want to send a big congratulations and a big good luck out to the Death Star Worthy, who has just signed to fight in China. From what I understand, the fight will be contested under shootbox rules, which, if I remember correctly, I believe it's smaller boxing gloves, kick pads, maybe long tights. There'll be standing submissions allowed, throws are allowed. It really sounds very similar to the San Shao rules that Kung Lee used to compete for whenever K1 used to be on ESPN. That's pretty similar stuff. So, you're punching, you're kicking, you can throw, hip toss, judo can get involved, standing submissions. It's a big opportunity for the Death Star, and we want to support that man as much as possible. If you're a local business owner and you want to have your brand go with Worthy to China to get national, global recognition, get a hold of the man right now. He's currently looking for sponsors, and we want to wish the man well. So again, congratulations to Worthy. There's no doubt in our minds he's going to make us very proud. Coming up after the break, we're going to be talking about some fun things coming up in the Southeast this spring. Don't go nowhere. It's the Prizefight Podcast. Cage Nation TV would like to take a second and formally thank all of the businesses that have taken the time to sponsor a mixed martial artist or a boxer as they have trained to attain greatness. In the world of business, it can be looked at as an advertising expense to get your name out there. But did you know that your sponsorship dollars is actually keeping the American dream alive? Your help and support is actually changing the lives of aspiring athletes. Working hard and reaching for the brass ring is truly the great American story. We encourage all of our listeners and followers to support businesses that sponsor your favorite fighters. And thank you to those businesses for your continued support and encouragement.
This week in MMA history.
This week in MMA history, March 19th through March 25th. March 19th, 2011 at UFC 128, Shogun vs. Jones. John Bones Jones defeats Shogun Rua to begin his reign as UFC light heavyweight champion. The bout led to a lot of strained feelings between then Jackson's MMA teammate Rashad Evans. Jones would go on to be considered one of the best light heavyweights of all time. March 21st, 2010, UFC Live Vera vs. Jones. The UFC makes its network debut on the Versus channel. The main event was supposed to be Brandon the Truth Vera versus Minotauro Nogueira, but Nogueira was forced out with an injury. Future light heavyweight champion John Bones Jones would step in to fight the veteran Vera. March 22nd, 2002 at UFC 36 Worlds Collide. The War Master Josh Barnett defeats the natural Randy Couture to become the UFC heavyweight champion. Barnett would be stripped of the title shortly after with a steroids test positive in the post-fight drug test. Welcome back to the Prizefight Podcast. I'm your host, the big fella, Mr. Albert Cameron, and truth be told, I could not be more excited about some of the combat sports that are coming to the North Carolina area. And who gets to benefit from it? Other than me, my listeners, especially those who are in the South, the Southeast. There's a lot of really cool stuff coming up, and I thought I'd spend some time on the Prizefight Podcast today to let you know that, hey, the spring is really shaping up to be big for combat sports. And when I tell you these things, it's a great opportunity to be like, man, okay, you know what? I got some big things coming up. Now is my time to support it. Now is the time where I need to be going to these local shows to show them that the interest is there, because the more events you go to, the more incentive for promoters to promote in the city that you live in. See, that's the catch. We all want MMA in the town we live in, but we have to go support it. We all have to go buy tickets. And that's what I do every week, is that I'm trying to generate as much attention to the sport I love as possible, to try to give you guys every opportunity to get out there to these fights and see them, because there are some very talented local fighters. Here in Wilmington, I technically live in Wilmington, it's Carolina Beach, but technically Wilmington. Derek Brunson has a gym here in Wilmington. Derek Brunson, the guy who fought Anderson Silva, and in a lot of opinion beat Anderson Silva, has a gym that's not even 30 minutes away from where I live. And when you go to these fights, especially in Wilmington or Raleigh, there's a very good chance you're going to run into Derek Brunson, ranked number 7, I think, 7 or 8, in the UFC middleweight division, okay? Let me say that again because it bears repeating. If you go to these fights that I am telling you about on a regional level that are tremendous fights, they are excellent bouts, and they're not charging you guys an arm and a leg for a ticket, there is a very good chance you're going to run into Derek Brunson. But not just Derek Brunson. And here's the catch. You are going to see the guys who are training to be the next generation after Derek Brunson. And that's when you get the opportunity to sit around at Buffalo Wild Wings or Champ Sports Bar or the Tilted Kilt in Pittsburgh and say, hey, you know what? I saw that guy fight because I was at Battle in the South, or I was at Next Level Fight Club, or I was at Gladiators of the Cage, or I was at Pinnacle FC. By going to these fights, one, you get to know who the stars of tomorrow are. But also, you get the bragging rights of saying that I saw these guys first. Everyone wants to be that guy sitting at the bar saying, hey, you know what? I saw Mike Tyson fight in the Smokers in New York. I saw him. I was there. It's cool. So that's why I'm dedicating this episode to let you know what's coming up in the South this spring. It is a huge, huge spring coming up. So first, the Azalea Festival in Wilmington, North Carolina. So I'm moving into Wilmington, and I see signs for everywhere that says a lot of focus on it being the Azalea City, that the Azalea Festival's here. And what's awesome about the Azalea Festival is, one, there's a lot of cool stuff to do, but there is a boxing tournament. A boxing tournament. Let me say that again. Boxing tournament. The Azalea Festival boxing tournament is going to be happening April 8th through April 9th. Coverage of the boxing tournament is brought to you by Port City Boxing, located at 1302 Castle Street on the corner of Castle and 13th Street. Give them a call right now at 910-622-5382 or visit them online right now at portcityboxing.com. We want to thank Port City Boxing for putting together the Azalea Festival boxing tournament. So if you're in Wilmington, Carolina Beach, and you want to get involved in boxing, Port City Boxing is the organization that is keeping boxing flourishing here in Wilmington. Now, the boxing tournament, boxers of all ages will be competing in the 2-day tournament between April 8th and April 9th. Weight classes range between 55 pounds and 210 pounds. So I'm not completely versed on boxing weight classes, but it sounds we got the lightest and up to super middleweight, maybe? Because I think cruiserweight's 220, so maybe super middleweight. The youngest boxers being 8 years old. Let me say that again because it bears repeating. We will have young competitors, 8 years old, competing in the Azalea Festival boxing tournament. Amateur boxing is absolutely fantastic, and I really thank Osahan Omoosagi, the coach of Penn State Boxing, for turning me on to collegiate and amateur boxing. It's completely regulated, okay? The state athletic commissions and the boxing authorities are all involved. Headgear's involved, heavier gloves. It's competition. It is no different than being 4 or 5 years old competing in wrestling, okay? And if you're saying, oh, well, you're punching someone to the head, y'all know what a crossface is? You know, where you use the inside or outside of your arm to turn the head a different way? Yeah, that could be used as a club too. And I had a bloody nose a couple times to prove that. Weight class. Okay, so we went over the weight classes. In the past, pugilists have come from North Carolina, South Carolina, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania having a lot of boxing coming out of the area here. The winners of the 2-day tournament will be crowned tournament champion by the Azalea Queen. This boxing tournament has been a tradition since 1978. So I've told you guys some really awesome things. Here is the clincher. Brace yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands on your table. Brace yourselves. This is going to rock you. This boxing tournament, 2 days of boxing action, of tournament action, is absolutely free. No one is charging you a dime to get into the event. You walk in, okay, to 515 Nut Street in Wilmington, North Carolina, the Wilmington Convention Center. You're saying, I'm here for the boxing tournament. You are not spending a dime for this boxing tournament. It is being put on completely free of charge. Great fights. Excellent venue. Excellent venue. Parking is very ample. There's a parking garage right near the event center. Okay? And it's absolutely free. Everyone gets excited about being able to see fights on free TV. Why not go see the fights live for free? Again, the Azalea Festival Boxing Tournament being brought to you by Port City Boxing. Our coverage of the Azalea Festival Boxing Tournament also brought to you by Port City Boxing. Check them out right now online at www.portcityboxing.com. On April 21st, next door to the Wilmington Convention Center at the Coastline Convention Center, Battle in the South 14 King of Spring is going down. Tickets are available right now, and I highly recommend you get your tickets early because the Coastline Convention Center is nice, but seating can be kind of limited. There's a lot of really good reasons why you want to get your tickets to get them early. Do not risk not getting a ticket because, again, seating can be kind of limited. Limited seating, partnered with great fights, great fighters. You want to go to get your tickets. And your tickets can be purchased right now at www.battleinthesouth.com. www.battleinthesouth.com. Currently scheduled on the King of Spring card, Chris Hurd, who has hardly spent 2 minutes in his last 3 fights, and I'm not exaggerating that at all. We're talking 17-second knockouts, so he might not even have spent 1 minute total in the cage in his last 3 fights. Is looking to make his Battle in the South return. Tim Balo from Burgah, North Carolina, pretty close to where I'm at. Looking to keep his winning momentum going. Tim Balo just recently in a fight did extremely well. Right now it's looking like he's going to be on the Battle in the South card. A title fight between Zachary McCumber and Joseph Kearney. Eric Belcher and James Brown is going to square up. James Brown in the last Battle in the South main event against Damon Blackshear, the Diamond. Clifton Tavis versus Terrence Weens. Todd Monroe versus Guadalupe Ordaz in our main event. Now, I'm telling you guys all this. Card is subject to change. We've all seen it. The UFC is not even immune from it. That sometimes fight cards can be played with injuries, can be played with things not happening the way you want it to go down. It happens. Now, Battle in the South was my first Southern promotion that I was able to go see, and I absolutely am a huge fan of the Battle in the South promotion. Their fighters are excellent. Their whole program is just great to see. Again, tickets are limited. They do have standing room only, but you definitely want to get a seat. The investment in a ticket is so worth it. I mean, the venue is intimate, but you're able to see. There's no bad seat in the house. Tickets available right now, battleinthesouth.com. They are going incredibly fast. Get your hands on them. The last fight that I went to in North Carolina was in Raleigh, was for Next Level Fight Club, and I thought Next Level Fight Club 6 was an off-the-hook kind of card. The main event between Coach Chase Gamble and Alan Crowder was a highlight reel finish, and when it happened, when that slam happened, air actually left my lungs, and it took a second to come back in. And it wasn't just the main event in Next Level Fight Club 6. Was not just the main event. Every fight on that card had something going for it. Same thing with Battle in the South. Every fight had something going for it. And that's why you can watch fights on TV. You can. But there is something to be said about getting a ticket and actually being in attendance for a fight card. The next chapter in the Next Level Fight Club series is happening on May 13th at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds in Raleigh, North Carolina. Tickets available right now at nextlevelfightclub.com. And again, from experience, I can tell you that you are best advised to get your tickets early. I think the last event sold out, and if not, I mean, tickets were slim pickings. Get your ticket right now. Okay, just do yourself a favor. I mean, if you're in Wilmington, it's only 2 hours to Raleigh. I did much worse to go see fights, okay, and the weather is much nicer down here. 2 hours away from Raleigh. The venue has plenty of parking. There's a hotel nearby. Great stuff. Scheduled on the card, heavyweight champion, the pretty boy Alan Crowder, is scheduled to defend his heavyweight championship against Jason Riley. We talked to Alan Crowder here on the Prizefight podcast. He had a lot of great things to say. He's a consummate athlete. And I think what you'll appreciate about Alan Crowder, if you haven't seen him fight, is he's a uniquely shaped heavyweight. Okay, I'm gonna explain what I'm saying here. Alan Crowder is a uniquely shaped heavyweight. He is sturdy. He is strong. He is a big man. He's agile for a heavyweight. That's what makes him dangerous to all comers and competitors. Alan Crowder was ready to fight a man who weighed 320 pounds. Alan Crowder weighed in at 240. He was ready to give up 80 pounds to a man, and he was ready to fight him. For heavyweight, Crowder is quick. He is heavy-handed. He is strong. He's got that raw farm boy power. You know, like you can tell he takes very good care of himself. As a fighter, he's very exciting to watch. As a heavyweight, he's absolutely uniquely designed. His biometrics are incredible. He's scheduled to defend his title against Jason Riley. Portland Pringle and Steve Montgomery are scheduled to throw hands in a title fight. I told you guys that Chase Gamble would live to fight another day because of the way the rules of mixed martial arts are designed. Coach Chase Gamble will be making his return against Harold Hubbard. Gamble, of course, was on the receiving end of that slam. You know, but I told you, everything that's legal in mixed martial arts is legal in the world of Olympics in some form or another. That slam, judo. Hitting to the face, that's boxing. Okay, wrestling, it's all there. Chase Gamble survived that slam. He was in no mortal danger. Doctors were in there taking care of him. It was an exciting finish. But you need to see Chase Gamble for yourself. I can only tell you about a man so many times before you need to see him. When Chase Gamble, who fought Alan Crowder on 12 hours notice, okay, not 4 months, not 4 weeks, 12 hours. 12. Less than 13, more than 11 hours notice. 7 a.m. he took the fight. Chase Gamble was very competitive in a fight with Alan Crowder. Okay, he was not outclassed. He was scoring some good offense. Alan Crowder is the heavyweight champion for a reason. Chase Gamble is a fighter you need to watch. He is naturally a light heavyweight. And anyone who can take it to the heavyweight champ like he did before that fight was over is certainly worth seeing. My man, Dwan Dirty South Allens, is going to be making his return to Next Level Fight Club. I go to Next Level Fight Club 6. I see a man who looks familiar. And I go up to him and was like, "Hey, Dwan, how you doing?" It's Albert, who called your fight for Complete Devastation MMA. And the guy could not have been more gracious. He was so cool to talk to. I love calling Dwan's fights, and he is an actively exciting fighter to watch. His bout with Mark Jericho was really cool to watch. You know, some of his fights from the XFC. Fantastic stuff. Chris Hurd, if he makes it out of Battle in the South, he's looking to compete for Next Level Fight Club, and if it's another 17-second knockout, I can't imagine it's going to be a problem for him. Elias Briley, which is a guy I think you need to keep your focus on. Briley is an amateur fighter. But I've seen that man dole out such a backside kick, and he had 2 points deducted from him for fouls. And Briley still came back to win the fight by decision. It was absolutely incredible. If I had to put notice on someone, definitely Chris Hurd, definitely Elias Briley. The best way to view Next Level Fight Club is live in person. And you can get your tickets at www.nextlevelfightclub.com. But if the event sells out before you can get your tickets, and honestly that is a very, very likely possibility that this event's going to sell out, if you cannot get your tickets before the event sells out, you're in luck, because you can watch the fight in its entirety at www.flowcombat.com, www.flocombat.com. Guys, I gotta tell you, it was a really, really great time for me to sit here and talk to you about some of the fights we got coming up this spring. The Azalea Festival Boxing Tournament is something I'm definitely looking forward to coming up here in the next couple weeks. Battle in the South, you know, they have my gratitude for allowing me to cover their fights. And of course, Next Level Fight Club is not just a clever name. They are taking fight promotion to that crucial next level. In the coming weeks at the Prizefight podcast, we're going to break down some stuff. We're going to be reporting from the Azalea Festival. We're going to post the bracket, tell you what's going on from day 1 and day 2, and we're going to have some post-fight coverage on that one. Of course, we're going to break down the Battle in the South card as things are firming up, and we are definitely going to be in attendance at Next Level Fight Club in Raleigh on May 13th. If I'm running at the mouth a little bit, it's because I'm very, very excited about what's going on here in the southeastern United States. Combat sports very much alive, my friends. And in order to keep the momentum of these fight promotions, you need to buy your tickets, you need to get to these events, and make a day out of it. If you say you're a fight fan, you have not lived until you've been live at a fight. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Fights, Cameron, action.
Thank you for tuning in to the Cage Nation Prize Fight Podcast. All rights reserved. 2016 to 2017 Planet Aries Sports. The Prize Fight Podcast is part of the Cage Nation Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.cagenationtv.com.